Hi, welcome to this week's Dragonblade Authors Unplugged. I'm so excited. I've got Kara Griffin and Deb Marlowe here this week. Ladies, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Thanks for
Thank
having us.
you.
So we actually have 4 releases this week, but we're going to start in reverse order, and we're going to do Kara's book first, which is Bride Takes a Laird, and it's book 2 in Vows and Vengeance. Is that right?
Yep. Vows and Vengeance.
Can you tell us
Highland
about
Vows
this?
and Vengeance series.
Can you tell us about this one?
Sure, I'd be happy to. One thing about this series, though, is that it's not like the traditional kind of Scottish Highland books that
Mhm.
people normally read. So there's not a lot of war in it. There's not a lot of politics. This series is more about the relationships between people and like family drama and things that happen to like normal everyday people, right? Except they're lairds and ladies and they're hot Highlanders. So I just want to stress that because I feel like people get the wrong impression of this series. It does have battle scenes in it a little bit, a touch of it. I don't really get into politics too much in my stories. I'm more about the emotions and the day-to-day situations between the men and the women. So that's where I usually typically go with my stories. But in the second book, we have Magnus and Kendra. Magnus is a laird who he just recently became laird, and he's very serious about his role because he's estranged from his family and was taken from them when he was very young to be
Hmm.
trained to be the laird. So that's all he knows. He doesn't know the love of his mother or, the guidance from his father. He just knows how to be a laird, and that's it. So when he meets Kendra, she's such a sweet, giving person, and she kind of helps him realize there's more to life than just being a laird. So that's kind of the premise of the story. So she does a lot of things to try to help him, and he rebuffs it because he's a laird and he doesn't need anyone's help. Through the book, there's that kind of push and pull. And then also, she's dealing with her own struggles in that she has an ailing father. Her father has dementia. And of course, back then, they just thought people were mad. They didn't know that there was an illness associated with that. So she actually she sells everything her family owns to try to find healers to heal him and to like help fix his problem, but that never happens and he just deteriorates, and as he does she's just so distraught. And but now she's married to Magnus and he kind of helped her with that. When she goes to his clan after she marries him, he allows her father to come, which is a little bit of a relief for her because she doesn't want to leave him. But so there's a lot of like situations like that in the story where they both help each other deal with their distress. And it was a emotional book for me to write because it's like almost like everyday people's problems, regardless of the time period,
Yeah.
that they suffer through and have to find their partner in life to help them. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the gist of it. And I love it. It's a sweet story. I hope readers like it too.
How far into the book did they get married?
So in the beginning of the story, they are called to the king, who is the one who betrothed them. He has to battle for her hand against
Oh,
other men. So, King Alexander is just he's a bad boy. He makes them battle because he likes entertainment and that's his
mhm.
form of gaining his entertainment. So the men have to battle for the women's hands in this series in all 4 books. And they win their wife. But really, it's not the men who get to choose; it's the women because the queen kind of pulls a little prank on the king and gets the women to choose the men rather than the men choosing the women. If you get that, I know it's a little difficult, but when you read it, it makes sense. So Margaret kind of, talks to each of the women and she says, "Who do you like? Do you like him? Do you like him? I think he would be good for him." So she's a little meddler and like tries to get them to marry the men that she thinks would be good for them, and somehow it all works out. So
She's got a matchmaking queen too. So.
she's a matchmaking queen. Yeah, she is.
Behind the scenes
Yeah,
matchmaker.
and of course the men don't ever balk at her because she's the queen and whatever she says goes. So they just go along with whatever she says. And of course they are beholden to the king because there's certain situations also that put them in a position where they cannot thwart the marriages. So like in book one, Declan had to, in order to gain his release from prison, he had to agree to the marriage. And then, but in this book, Magnus won't say no to the king. He just won't because he's a devoted laird and that's who he is. So
that's the king,
it's his thing. Yeah. So, and then each man, there's a reason each man agrees to it. So, and in the other books, the later books, you'll see why they go along with it, because these are Highlanders and they're kind of angsty, and they don't follow anybody's rules really, but that they will listen to their king and they will support their nation. So that's kind of what they do. But anyway, the stories are really great in that, like, I feel like they're easy reads because I don't use a lot of dialect in my stories. I feel like it stops the reader from like just cruising through. So I do put a touch of it and I do use a lot of historical words, but I try not to do like a lot of Scottish language or Scottish words because they're so hard to comprehend when you're trying to just read. So I like to keep it light. So anyway, yeah. So I'm excited. I hope everyone likes it. It's a great story. They're great characters, and yeah.
Awesome. So how many more books are in the series?
There are 2 more. The next one is Bride Takes a Charmer, and that one is really sweet. I love that story, and the character's a little more subdued in that book. Like, but it's also requited love. So they knew each other and they come back together years later. So it's kind of sweet in that respect. And then in the last book, it's Bride Takes a Warrior, which I'm actually just finished writing, so I can't wait to submit it. And that one is really cute. I've been rereading it. And I love don't you love, Deb, when you reread your work and you smile to yourself and you just know that readers are going to love it. So
I'm always amazed. Sometimes I'll go back and read something and I'll go, I have no memory of writing this, but I know I did
it. Yes. Or like it just makes you smile so much because it's so when wonderful and you just love the little
like
interactions.
Not even like it's like you're just the channel and like you come back later and you're like, oh dang.
Yeah.
I didn't even remember that.
Yeah.
I like it when it's good though. Like when you get back and you read it, like, oh, that's not so bad there.
Yeah. That's how I felt yesterday. I was reading back through some of the story and I was just smiling to myself and I was like, oh yeah, these two are so cute together, So I was so happy about that. And I'm still reading through, so cleaning it up and getting it ready to submit. So, but, and then, the series is done once Bride Takes a Warrior takes place. And the ending, there will be a nice wrap up of all 4 stories.
Oh, cool. So we'll get to see the characters again?
Well, you'll get to know like kind of what happened to them after the story ended a little bit. And then it'll conclude with, the king being happy with them because, he's the one who instigated all this to begin with. So... But yeah, and I love like adding little touches of real history in there. So, like the things that happen regarding the king are all real. Like he's in Scotland when it's at the beginning of the story, and then so everywhere he is true to history. So I try to make sure like I don't put him somewhere where he really wasn't in real time way back when, So. But yeah, so yeah. Anyway, I love it. I hope other readers love it, and I just appreciate Dragonblade taking a chance with the story, and then I really enjoyed writing it. So
awesome. Well, there's so much more good stuff to look forward to there too.
yes.
Very cool. Very cool.
Thank
Well,
you.
we actually have 2 other books released in the middle of the week this week. We have the Duke's Goddess by Eliana Pierce, which is also a book too, because the book two seems to be a trend, and that's in the Duke Dare series. And we'll catch up with Eliana another week. And then Kathy Wheeler has a book that's the Daring Pursuit, which is also book 2 in the Clandestine Sapphire Society. So we'll catch up with Kathy in the future too. Everybody but Deb is flame this week. So Dragonblade flames, they're all spicy. They're all spicy. They're all keeping it all spicy.
And then you have my mysteries.
And then we get to the
I
love it. Launch the week, and that is Betrayal from the Beyond, and it is book 6. Yeah, book 6 in the Kieran Levitt mystery series. And good gracious, this has been a slow burn that's burned. So
Niall has a lot of secrets, all those secrets had to come out before they could really, get together. But we're book 6 now, so the burn is burning. there's no flaming, but it is a slow burn. But I kind of love that. Yeah. I mean, I just have adored having their relationship grow, like really, like in real time, like almost, like I've just really had a chance to dig deep and get into their layers, and they're kind of peel them back for each other, and I really think they're perfect for each other on the page, at least. So I just have had a huge time with those two. So
that is, I can imagine that would be really fun, because we get so used to hitting certain beats in a book that we're going to finish, you're going to finish the romance in this amount of time. And when you have time to actually do a deep dive into the characters and let things unfold on the page as the story unfolds, that's got to be like extra.
It's been hugely satisfying, I have to say. And as their stories have gone on, they're kind of collecting this found family, and I've just loved having that too. I mean, some of these secondary characters have their own fans. Like, I get email about them, and people love. There's a couple of them that are just huge favorites. So, and I did a little. I mean, you have to read the book. I'm not going to give away any spoilers, but one of the characters goes through some stuff in this book. So
that's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's realistic, I think, for the time. So it is hard when you have a beloved character and bad things happen. But again, it's an opportunity for character growth, and I'm taking advantage of all of that. So
yeah, and it has to feel real if you want to take our heartstrings along with you. It has to feel real.
Right. Yes, it can't all be sweetness and light, especially in a Victorian murder mystery.
Yeah.
So for readers who haven't heard the series, can you just give us a little bit of the like a series synopsis for readers who haven't started it?
Yes. So Kieran Levitt mystery series. It's Kieran Levitt or Kara Levitt and Niall Keir. They are. The first book starts out, they are both exhibitors in the Great Exhibition of 1851. They are both very unconventional sleuths. I don't have any they're not detectives or anything like that. They're both artists. Kara is I find her fascinating. She's a very right brain, left brain combination, which I'm not mathy. But she can do both. And she uses her scientific knowledge and creates art and makes these beautiful automatons that just do like very fabulous, intricate things. And
it's fascinating.
It's really, I've just had so much fun with it. And people will write and say, I really wish I could like buy the things that she makes. And I'm like, me too. So, and Niall is also an artist. He is a forge artist. He has got Scottish background. He's a Highland background. And he creates very like large art pieces like gates and triple screens and fire grates and things like that. But they are unusual sleuths, but I think that artists make great, detective type people, because they're like writers. They're people watchers, they are dot connectors, they can put things together. So it's really worked out. I've had a huge, lovely time with them. The first 3 books are really, when they meet and get to know each other. And Niall has some very big family secrets in his past that he just cannot share. But they all come out, and turns out that they are really, really big secrets. So things happen, and I'm not going to give them away, but it's like the first 3 books are really about like them coming together and figuring out like how he can move forward with people knowing the stuff that they aren't supposed to know about him. And then after that, things shift, and things happen, like their lives change, and it's all about shifting, making that shift together. And like I said, pulling together their found family. And it's just been, I've just had a great time with them, and they've been very well received, which I'm very thankful for. So it lets me keep going. So and this one is, like I said, one of the secondary characters is her name is Gita Winther. She is a female forge person, very unusual. She's of Norse descent. Like her ancestors are Norse. She's super proud of her heritage. Even in the beginning, when we meet her, and she is with Niall exhibiting at the Great Exhibition, and she does very Norse themed, like giant warrior shields and things, cool. And engraved axes and things like that. So she has a lot. She is a fan favorite. She has a lot of action in this book, and she is a warrior girl, so she can handle it. So.
Is this a murder mystery series? Oh, cool. Love it.
Victorian London. And there is actually at least one of the books and part of a couple of the other books do take place in Scotland as things occur throughout. They do some stuff in Edinburgh and in East Lothian down that way. So yeah, it's, I've had a great time with it. I'm really happy the readers have too. So.
And how many more books do we have in this series so far?
This is number 6. There is at least number 7 coming, and then we'll see. I have a couple other ideas. I really want to work on too.
You have so many ideas percolating.
I have a lot of ideas. People are always like, where do your ideas come from? And I'm like, everywhere.
Yeah.
But I have some other things I'd like to work on too. But this is the kind of book series, like I'm a huge mystery fan, and like some of my favorites, like Amelia Peabody, that there's 30 books in that series. I would love to write on, and continue on with this couple. They're in Amelia Peabody, because I love me some Emerson. That I don't know if you've ever read that one, Evelyn, but it's like late Victorian Egypt, and they're archaeologists, and it's just fascinating. And they get together and get married and continue on sleuthing, and I'm like, I would love to do that. So
that's so great,
because I'm a huge fan of the Deanna Raybourn.
Speedwell. Yes, me too. Stoker. Who doesn't love Stoker, right?
I know, right? You should have call inside of a taxidermy mammoth while you're at it,
Yes, I mean, a pirate taxidermist. Who doesn't love that, right?
Yeah, fantastic.
So, but yeah, I've had a really nice time with it. I'm excited about people reading this book. I do think I'm going to hear some.
You're going to get some flack.
I'm not slack, but I think people are going to be like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you did that." So, but honestly, I've never been one of those writers that's like, the characters, don't listen to me. They do what they want. This book is the first time that really, really happened to me. Like I was like, this started coming out, and I was like, this wasn't what I was thinking about, but I couldn't change it. It was the way the story was meant to be. So
I love
we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's great.
Awesome. Well, we have a little bit of time left, and we had originally talking about communities and that kind of stuff. But Deb, you said something about being people watchers and authors being people watchers and connecting the dots. And I thought that it might be interesting to talk a little bit about like how you get your ideas and how things sit with you. Do you have more ideas than you know what to do with? Do you go scrounging for things? How do you piece things together, and what gives you inspiration?
Do you want to go first, Kara?
Well, yeah, I mean, so obviously I write in the medieval period, and I'm always researching. I have I don't know if you could see back there, but I have tons of books that I peruse through occasionally, and something will strike me. Or when I'm online looking stuff up, I'll find a little fact that just sticks with me. My OneNote is so large that I cannot even tell you. I must have 150 tabs in it. It's just crazy. But I'm always inspired by the true historical facts. I love adding that to my story. So when I come across something that can fit into a story, it's so exciting to me, I mean, I love the imagination part too, but I just love adding real historical facts in there. Especially because I write in a time period where, kings and queens and, lairds and ladies and knights and, the whole gamut of people were, so important to the era. So, but I do love people watching. I don't necessarily do that for my stories. When I start a story, I usually will make a list of traits that I want them to have and then go from there, and I am a pantser, so I completely write from the cuff from beginning page 1 to the end. I don't usually plot any part of the story. But I do have my OneNote, which I refer to multiple times when I'm writing, which has a lot of base information there that I can draw from, But yeah, so writing in the medieval period, the way people are today is so different than the way that people acted then that really for me people watching isn't beneficial. But I do get kind of ideas for plots and things with some of the crazy things that go on in this world right now, some political things and some, family drama type situations. Oh, that would be good to put in a medieval book, So, and I love, love, love mysteries, Deb. So I really have to put your book.
Oops.
Deb, I'm imagining that you can't be. Hopefully Carol will pop back in. I'm imagining you can't be very much of a pantser.
Not. I do a talk. I do. I've done a lot of writers' talks in my time, and I do one with some friends, and it is called Plotter, Pantser, Plotzer, and I'm the Plotzer. So I am very kind of in the middle. There are certain parts of the book that I have to have ready, to know ahead of time. Boom, I have to have certain, I call them beads, to aim for, but I also need complete freedom to get there, because for me that's where a lot of the magic happens. What I was talking about. I did not plan for this, but I can't stop it, right? So yeah, I'm a plotzer. For me, character always comes first in the story. I'm always it's who I'm building in my mind, and on the paper. But I'm also a huge history nerd. So I have the biggest collection of history books. It's sad. But it's not sad to me because I love it. I love to go down a rabbit hole. I love to include real fictional characters and real fictional situations and places in the books. And especially in mystery, I think that's so important, and it's something that readers really want to be grounded in that time and place. And so that's just a super glove fit for me. That's what I want to give them. So
Yeah.
Very happy about that.
And I'm going to trust.
Mystery readers are far more interested in me and what I like to do. I love to build the world. I like to just make you feel like you're in the middle of it. And you know, I mean, it has to be relevant, but also they love the description. They love learning something, and I love that too. So it's a good fit for me.
And being able to trust that when you give me something, you're giving me something that has accurate historical basis.
Yes, whenever I stray, I always confess. And in fact, there is an author's note at the end of this book. I did use something a couple years out of whack, but it's and I give the real historical background of it, and it's something that the villain uses, and she's a couple years ahead of her time in it. But I'm like, it just seems like something she would totally come up with. So here's the real story. But
so the villain's a she. Now we know the villain's a she.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you've read the series, I'm on book 6 now. This book is a return of the villain kind of a thing, of the arch nemesis kind of a thing. So people do know that it's a she. If you've been reading through all the way the first 5 books, you kind of know. So, but yeah, I've got to get it right, or else I got to tell you what I've done. So,
yeah, I usually end up having an author's note for every book I write, you know, because I tweak something a little bit, you know, like maybe I have it not at the exact year, but like around that time or whatever, you know. Yeah. But I think readers are fine with that if you do that.
As long as I know, you know, like as long as I know, absolutely.
Yeah. I know I've been a historical reader for my whole entire life. So I love that, you know, and I always read the author's notes at the end. So I hope readers do too, you know.
Yeah, me too. I hope they do too. I think it's you know, oftentimes, I mean, sometimes it's just an insight into the author, but I like that too.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. That's awesome.
So what's the strangest or most interesting thing you've come across when you were researching?
So many.
I mean, the automatons, I remember when you put those up and I was thinking, this is amazing, you know.
Yeah, those are really cool. I've got a lot of weird stuff to happen in history. I mean, I mean, I've got an entire series based on an 11-book series based on a really crazy and kind of gross thing. It's the Harris List of Covent Garden Ladies, which was a real thing, which was a publication that came out every year, and the men would line up to pay their money to get this list of this book. And it was a list of all the, I'll say it, whores in London, and, you know, Mrs. B blank, you know, H blank, and here's what she looks like, and here's where she lives, and here's what her specialties are. So, I mean, that was a real thing for 40 years. Oh my goodness. I mean, so, and then one of my heroines in this series is, you know, finds out that her name is going to be on that.
Oh my goodness.
She's a good girl, you know.
Yeah. Oh my.
To team up with the Duke and make sure that doesn't happen. But
yes, because holy cow.
Yeah, like some weird stuff went down. I mean, just like today, weird stuff goes down all through human history.
Yes,
we've always been human, right?
Yeah.
So,
what about you, Carol? What's the weirdest thing you've come across?
I don't know, but the weirdest thing I ever put in one of my books was a necrophiliac. So, I had a villain who was a necrophiliac, and the hero was hunting him down. You know, so that was
goodness.
You know, it was kind of cool to write some of the scenes in that respect because you're not seeing it from their vantage point. You're seeing it from like the hero and the heroines and like the aftermath, I guess you would say. But you kind of get the gist of what kind of went down, and it just was really interesting to write. So I love that. I love when like you're writing a scene and it's kind of maybe backwards a little bit, where the reader gets to see it from a different perspective. So,
Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's always fun to do. So, but yeah, no, I usually stick to the norms, so to speak. My books are flames, so I kind of go a little crazy with the love scenes and, but otherwise I stick to history and so.
I love that Dragonblade has separate lines so that you know what you're getting ahead of time. And you know what to expect, and you can read at whatever heat level you happen to be feeling at the moment that you're feeling it. So.
Yeah, that
exactly.
Is
always something to choose from. Always something for everybody.
Yeah.
Well, ladies, it was lovely to talk to you this week. I appreciate you taking the time to do this. I'm going to put the links to your books and then the books for Eliana and for Kathy as well in the comments. So if you haven't gotten them, you can grab them. They're the best deal on pre-order and release. But even if you don't get them, then you can read them in Kindle Unlimited. And if you haven't caught up with Deb series, you can start back at the beginning and read the whole way through in Kindle Unlimited, just like eating Tic Tacs. It's like you don't even have to think about it. There's no barrier to entry. I don't know if you're like me, but I want a good escape right now, and Mysteries and Highlanders are a good escape.
Yep. Thank you, Evelyn.
Awesome. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Take care. Good luck.